You do it thousands of times a day without even thinking about it. Pressing a key. But behind that simple click is this incredible, super high-speed journey from our physical world into the digital one. Okay, let's actually dive in and trace the path of one single keystroke, all the way from your finger to the screen.
I mean, it feels instant, right? You press it, it appears. But what's really happening in that tiny fraction of a second? We're going to follow that signal right from its birth inside the keyboard all the way to the light that actually forms a letter on your display.
All right, so our journey starts right here, inside the keyboard itself. This is ground zero. This is where a simple mechanical action gets transformed into the very first spark of digital information.
Okay, so picture this. Under all the keys, there's a grid, kind of like a checkerboard of wires running horizontally and vertically. When you press a key down, you're basically connecting a circuit at one very specific intersection on that grid. The keyboard's little brain is scanning this grid hundreds of times a second, and the moment it sees that connection, it knows, aha, a key's been pressed.
Now, here's the really important part. The keyboard doesn't send the letter A to your computer. Nope. It sends a unique number called the scan code that basically just says, hey, the key at this specific grid location was pressed. And it even sends a different scan code when you let the key go. This is the raw data, the very first message on its long journey.
And just like that, our little packet of data, that scan code, is on its way. It zips down the keyboard cable, whether it's a modern USB or an old-school PS2 connector, and heads straight for the computer, all ready for the next leg of its trip.
So the signal has arrived. But you got to remember, the computer's main processor, the CPU, is incredibly busy. It's juggling thousands of things at once. So how does our humble little keystroke even get its attention? Well, it uses a clever trick called an interrupt.
Think of it like this. The interrupt is basically the keyboard tapping the CPU on the shoulder. It's this high-priority signal that says, hey, sorry to bother you, but stop what you're doing for just a microsecond. I've got something important. It's this system that makes your typing feel so instant and responsive, no matter what else your computer's up to.
This analogy is just perfect. The word interrupt sounds so disruptive, but for a modern processor, it's really just like blinking during a movie. The pause is so unbelievably brief that the flow of the movie isn't interrupted at all. The CPU handles the request and gets right back to work without missing a beat.
So the CPU hits pause, snags that scan code from a little memory buffer, and immediately hands it off to the operating system to figure out what it means. The OS looks at the code, translates it into the character you meant to type, and sends it to the right program. But that's still just data. To turn that data into something we can actually see, we need to call in the specialists.
Yeah. Getting a character to pop up on your screen, especially in something complex like a video game, is a real team effort. It involves two very different kinds of processors working together, the CPU and the GPU. So here's the fundamental difference between them. The CPU, the central processing unit, is a generalist. It's a jack of all trades, designed to handle all sorts of complicated tasks one after another. But the GPU, the graphics processing unit, is a specialist. It was built to do one thing and do it incredibly well. Perform thousands or even millions of simple calculations all at the same time.
A great way to picture their relationship, especially in a game, is to think of the CPU as the manager. It processes your keystroke and figures out the logic. It says, okay, the player pressed W, so their character needs to move forward. The CPU then hands off the drawing instructions to the GPU, which is like a huge team of experts, telling them exactly what the next frame of the game needs to look like.
And here's another awesome way to think about how they work. A CPU core is like a high-performance race car. It's built to navigate these complex winding instructions one after the other really fast. The GPU, on the other hand, is like a massive drag strip with thousands of lanes. Each car in those lanes is simpler, but they all launch at the exact same time to complete a huge parallel task, like figuring out the color of millions of pixels in the blink of an eye.
So the GPU has done its job. It's created a complete digital map of the next frame. But how does that map, which is really just a collection of ones and zeros, become the actual light that we see on our screens? This diagram here lays out that final stage of the journey perfectly. This whole thing is called the video chain. It's the hardware path that translates the GPU's digital plan into an analog signal that your monitor can actually understand and use to make a picture. Let's just walk through this chain real quick. So it all starts in the frame buffer. That's the GPU's digital blueprint for the screen. From there, the values go through a lookup table to find the right video signals for red, green, and blue. Then comes the crucial translator, the DAC, or digital to analog converter. This thing turns those ones and zeros into actual analog voltages. Think of it like turning a digital recipe into a physical ingredient. Finally, those voltages go to your display, telling it exactly how bright to make the tiny red, green, and blue lights that form every single pixel you see. And this entire translation happens thousands of times a second. It's just wild.
So we followed the keystroke from the keyboard all the way to the screen. End of story, right? Well, not quite. Turns out, our story has one last, pretty surprising twist. The journey can go in some very unexpected directions. We all think of the keyboard port as a simple, one-way street just for typing. But what if I told you it has hidden powers? Yeah, an old engineering document reveals that this humble little interface is way more versatile than you'd think.
So get this. A 1997 application note from Motorola shows that the keyboard interface isn't just for sending data in. It also provides a stable 5-volt power source. And, critically, the data line is bidirectional. That means the computer can't just receive information, it can also send it back out through that very same port to a custom device. And to prove this wasn't just some theory, the engineers who wrote that note, they actually built a working digital thermometer. And it was both powered by and sent all its temperature readings back to the computer all through the keyboard board. They just treated the temperature data like it was a series of very, very fast keystrokes. I mean, what an absolutely brilliant piece of clever engineering. So there you have it. From a simple press of a key to a complex dance of hardware and software, and it ends with this ingenious hack from decades ago. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secret capabilities and hidden journeys are just waiting to be discovered inside the technology we use every single day?